Hello, hello. Welcome back to the podcast. I know this is real. I repeat, this is real. This is not a drill. Your girl Elizabeth is back. Welcome to what I'm calling season 2 of The In-Between. It only seemed fitting to give it a new season because, well, I'm not really the same version of me that you last met. I'm not trying to be like, oh, I am so changed. It's about self-discovery, the pursuit of self, which, to be honest, is just a continuous flow of lesson after lesson after lesson. That's what I'm learning. But see what I did there. But I am a more, I was going to say nuanced version of myself, and that sounded super weird. But I'm definitely more evolved. I'm definitely different. I mean, heck, I look back at who I was a year ago, January 2025, versus the version of me in February and March and April, May, June, July, all the months. I feel like I went through so much life change, so much evolution, so much growth, healing, speed bumps, life, curveballs, all of the things. Every month was a different version of myself. And then toward the end of the year, or really when I kind of just left you guys on red, I was basically crashing out. I was completely lost. I finally was forced to slow down after I sold my house and face the reality that I was maybe not okay. Maybe the whole surviving thing had taken a little bit of a toll. And then my life imploded because all this health stuff happened. There is so much to talk about. But the first thing I want to address is I am sorry for abandoning you. I know I talked about, I'm going to come back. I'm going to do it every 2 weeks. I got all these episodes I recorded before I moved out of my house. Well, guess what? I still have those episodes, and they're freaking amazing. They're going to come out. But I just kind of got up and left. And sometimes that's what you have to do to take care of you. 2025 was a year. Let me just start there. It was a year, okay? Not just for me personally, some of the highest highs and then low lows that gutted me to my core, but it was also quite the year politically. Let's see, professionally. How many other words can we say that starts with a P? Personally, politically, professionally. Anything else? What am I thinking of here? I don't know. Pop culture-y. There we go. Yeah, pop culturally. All that to say, it's been a year. And the point I'm trying to make is life lifed, and I had to take a beat. I guess you can say I had to surrender. Surrender to what was going on at the moment. Surrender on my journey. Surrender to the path. Because I was going through so much life change. And like I said, some high highs, some low lows. But when it all kind of came crashing down on me, and I could no longer run from, not to be dramatic, but the truth, that your girl needed to chill out and needed to just, I don't know, visualize someone just like floating through space, like, oh, like that's kind of where I was with things. I just needed to be still and process my emotions, process what was going on, and then deal with all of the life shit that started hitting me all at once. I got diagnosed with a bunch of health things. When it rains, it pours, they say. I got diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder. Hello, thyroid. Let me tell you something. Your thyroid is quite an interesting organ, muscle. What is it? I guess an organ. I don't really know, actually, now that I say that. But from my autoimmune disorder, I got diagnosed with a rare disease. 40% of the people that have the autoimmune that I have also get this rare disease in your eye. Fun things, fun times. So it was one thing after another. All of these diagnoses required multiple providers, multiple healthcare professionals. Work was crazy. I just crashed out. And I already could tell with the podcast that I was struggling. I didn't feel like I was showing up as my true authentic self. It's still me. Because I'll be honest, I'm an extrovert. I know how to turn it on. I know how to go. I know how to perform. I know how to bring it. But there was something inside that just wasn't resonating. And I knew that I could tried to honestly just keep pushing myself, kill myself to do this, put it out there, push myself to keep putting out content that I wasn't really in love with and wasn't really believing in. Or I could just take a freaking beat and figure out what I needed to focus on in my life, which at the time it was health and honestly just being still, something that I had been running from all year. So this was all around like August. It was like pretty much right after the last episode, which I think came out in July. But anyways, I knew I'd always return because this is something I'm very passionate about. It feels kind of silly to be like, I'm passionate about my podcast. It's not so much the podcast, but it's the connection. It's the ability to perform in a way, but perform not as a character, but as myself. What you see on this podcast, what you hear, this is me IRL. This is me in person, in real life, talking to my friends, talking to my coworkers, talking to my family. It's a way for me to show up authentically and hopefully entertain you, hopefully brighten your day, maybe even teach you a thing or two, and maybe, if I'm lucky, show you why it's important to love yourself, why it's important to choose yourself. I feel like 2025 was all about me asking the question, what does choosing me look like in any scenario? How do I navigate the line of self-love and romantic love, like pursuing romantic love? That's where that term self-worth came to be. Started learning a lot about that. Come to find out, it's not that I didn't have low self-worth, but I had some room for improvement. But to be honest, if I didn't have such a strong foundation of self-love, which I know I that's a huge pillar here, something I preach about all the time. If I didn't love myself enough to meet me where I was at, didn't love myself enough to evolve and grow from where I was at, love myself enough to say, ooh, I feel icky on the inside. I need to work on some boundaries. I need to work on what I deserve. Recognizing what I deserve, realizing what I deserve, and not just in romantic pursuits, but in life, in rest. That was a big thing because I was go, because it was life thing after life thing. And I want to be honest, like it took me a while to accept that things were not all great. Things were not all good because I was traveling the world. I have the best friends anyone could ever ask for that helped support me when I was low and uplift me and go on adventures. And I have the best mom. I just have the best mom who has been by my side throughout all of this entire journey of life and choices and decisions and growth and all of it. I didn't think I was allowed to be sad. I wasn't allowed to sit back and go, damn, I think I've been surviving. And maybe that's part of it. When you're in survival mode, you don't really realize it necessarily because you're in this fight or flight and your anxiety is so used to running a certain way. Your body's so used to working at a high level. And I'm already a high achiever. I already do a lot. That's like just part of my personality. Hello, Enneagram 3. But I didn't take the time to step back and say, whoa, girlfriend, let's rest. And not only rest, but give myself permission that it was okay to do that. Who can relate to that? That's a big lesson. And unfortunately, it took life crashing down on me, crashing out, if you will, for me to finally accept that. I wish I could say that after all the health stuff happened and then it was like, okay, let me schedule this appointment, schedule this appointment, schedule this appointment. I'd start to get to that point of rest, but no, I was still living in this hamster wheel frame of thought that got to keep going. I can't stop. Because at the time I sold the house, I had moved back in with my mom temporarily. And I remember she'd make comments like, oh, you stay here for a few months and get on your feet, get a new place. And I was like, oh, hell no. I'm not going to live with my mother at 34 for more than a month. I ended up staying there for like 3.5 months. I needed it because once all the health stuff started happening and I was in the flow of getting care and trying to get the right medication and doing this and doing that, it started to creep up on me that I wasn't doing so hot. I was really struggling. I don't know if I fully slipped into depression, maybe, I mean, depression has many layers to it. It's not necessarily black or white, but what is life except all gray? And I had to accept that I was lost. So all of that to say, I had to stop the podcast because I couldn't even tell you who is Elizabeth Cheney. I was still the version of me that you've come to know and love. But there was also a new part of that I hadn't quite reached yet or accepted. But I was still holding on to the old version of me because in my head I thought to myself, I worked so hard for this. I went through a major depression years ago. I found the power of self-love. I found myself, blah, blah, blah. When I checked in with myself, I realized, when was the last time you felt your intuition? When was the last time you felt connected to yourself? When was the last time that you just didn't feel like you were burning the candle at both ends, despite all the highs and the adventures you'd been on and experiences you'd already had? The first thing I want to say with coming back is sometimes we have to stop. But clearly, as you witness now, that doesn't mean you won't come back. That doesn't mean the dream is dead. That doesn't mean your motivation, your goals are no longer there. You're no longer thinking about them. And you know, when I first launched this podcast, I struggled with imposter syndrome. Who doesn't, nowadays? But am I good enough? Am I going to be successful? I had all these weird, kind of overly ambitious expectations for me just beginning. And I had to learn that is not the way this works. 1, you got to find your voice. 2, you got to learn just all the things that go with this. 3, you got to stay committed because success with this comes after a while. Unless like you were on a reality TV show or just on a TV show in general, you're a nobody. You got to build your audience. You got to build your brand, so to speak. And so in the beginning, I used to have so much anxiety about if I didn't put out an episode every week because I read consistency was the most important thing. So I was hell-bent on being consistent. I was going to put out an episode every week. I was going to do this and do that and put myself out there, blah, blah, blah. And eventually, doing this podcast for a year plus, it finally started to hit me. I am being consistent. I just need to trust myself more. So building trust within myself, with my goals, my dreams, my motivations, all of the things that I want to achieve in this life, I held on to that, which is why I was able to walk away when I needed to take care of me and just focus on my life and focus on getting to the next chapter, the next step, the next place, figuring out why I felt so lost, reconnecting with myself. So I just want to say for anyone listening, life happens. Maybe you can keep pursuing your thing when life is lifing. There's definitely been times over the past couple of years since I've been doing the podcast where life lifed and I kept it moving. Think about when Luna passed. That was not okay. One of the most devastating periods of my life. But I kept doing it, kept showing up. And I think there is power and strength in recognizing that showing up is not the move. Because how can I show up for this podcast that is all about authenticity and being me and getting deep and being silly and weird and hopefully making you laugh, if not laughing at me versus with me? You know what I mean? If I didn't know who I was at the time, I have never felt so disconnected from myself, especially given all of the work and self-discovery I've done over the past few years. I felt like my life was consumed with doctor's appointments. I felt like I was a shell of a person. My inner narrative was not kind. So how could I show up on this podcast with a smile on my face that honestly, I don't even know if it would have been genuine, trying to be Elizabeth Cheney, host of the In Between podcast, when I was just floating through space. They say 2025 was the year of the snake. Chinese New Year. I think that's where it comes from. And a snake is all about shedding its skin, being born anew, right? Regenerating itself. That is exactly what 2025 was for me. I had to shed the old version of me and step into the new skin, the new life, the new timeline, the new everything. And the catch is, I'm still me. I'm just an evolved version. And that was the lesson I learned in those few months living at home, where I had to let go and surrender to life and figure out what the f is going on. So I'm back. I feel more like myself than I have. Do I be dramatic and say forever? Or do I be more humble and say in a very long time? Either way, I'm back and I am me. I'm different. I'm not quite the same. But I think there's beauty in that, because I personally believe we're always evolving. We should always be growing. But the point is, I'm here. I've got so many stories to share. I've had so many experiences. I don't even know where to begin. And who knows, maybe this episode is just a reintroduction back to myself, back to the podcast. I know I'm going to have new listeners. I know I'm going to have new guests. I've got a new place, as you can see with the background. I love my new apartment. Let me tell you something. For the first time in my adult life, this space feels like mine. I just moved in like mid-November, and I worked really, really hard to completely move in. I mean, I have hung all my art, all the art that I've been collecting over the years, furniture. There's just so much color in this place. I'm obsessed. I've had a few friends come over and they're like, how do you have so much already done? It looks like you've been living here over a year. And I said, because after a year and a half of nonstop life change, I wanted to feel grounded. I deserved to feel grounded. So I busted ass, got this shit handled, and boom, here we go. So I'm not sure if I'm going to get into everything right now. Honestly, I was really nervous just to start back the podcast and record. Let's not even discuss the amount of takes it took for me to get all of this set up. Took me a second, but she figured it out eventually. That's for sure. I eventually, in the next couple of weeks to month or so, I want to do a photo shoot, revamp the podcast. Again, I'm still me, but it's a newer version. You know, I've always been determined that I'm not going to let life define me. You know what I mean? I am not made up of the things that have happened to me. I am a product of how I have handled the things that have happened to me, how I have navigated, how I have pulled myself up by the bootstraps when I was at my lowest low, how I have seen and continue to try and focus on the beauty and the lesson and whatever's going on. That's not to say that it's immediate. I definitely bitch, I definitely wallow, and I definitely go, why me? Honestly, I talk about last year having so many life changes and constant curveballs and things like that, and they're still happening. I just had dental surgery last week. I'm like, okay, universe, when does all this stop? And the answer is it doesn't. Life keeps lifing. What's the words of that all-star song? Well, the years start coming and they don't stop coming. Back to the road and I hit the ground running. Okay, wow. Very proud of myself for remembering that, but it's true. Sang that all the time when I was a kid, never realizing what that truly meant, and now I'm living it. Life be lifing. It's always going to be lifing. But as I proved to myself last year many times, over and over again, monthly, weekly, gosh, if not daily, and many times before that, I will be okay. I will get through. Because what have I always said? If I can't bet on me, who's going to? So I bet on myself that I would eventually get through whatever shit was going on. I was going to get through this health stuff, and I was going to get back on this podcast. Because just because you got a break, it doesn't mean things are over. With the way society is nowadays, we're so used to instant gratification. You make a post, you get the likes, you get the comments, you get the reach, you get the satisfaction. I mean, Amazon delivery will deliver it sometimes within hours. We have become accustomed to instant everything. So when life does happen, especially when you have to pause, it's unnerving. Some of us aren't really equipped to handle it. I mean, that's why I think I was running from, I don't be like running from the truth, but just running theoretically, metaphorically last year until life said, I'm going to catch up with you and make you slow your ass down. And I'm finally at a place where I don't know what's next. And that's so freeing for me. It was one thing after another, this decision, this, that. And again, I'm not saying that there's not stuff going on in my life, of course, because again, what's the theme? Life's. But for the first time in a very, very long time, I feel like I have a blank slate. It's just me, myself, and I, my choices, my decisions, my dreams, my pursuits, my goals. And that is so freeing. I remember back in like the earlier days of the podcast, I would talk about the unknown and how there is power stepping into that. There is power in the free fall. It's unnerving, especially if you're a control freak, especially if you like things being planned. But there is power in the unknown. And I was not even prepared for what it would feel like when I was fully stepping into a period of who knows what's going to happen. But I'm in control of my fate. I'm relying on no one but myself. And that's exciting. It's scary, don't get me wrong, because I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, this episode could be amazing. This episode could suck. I have no idea. It's a little all over the place, and I even journaled out what I was going to write, and I'm just like, you know what? Tears it up. I have no idea. But I'm showing up as me. I'm showing up as Elizabeth. And that's so exciting. Again, I don't know what's next. I'm going to put out some episodes. I'm going to get my networking going. But I'm just riding the ride, figuring out as I go. And as I get back into it, as I pursue this and pursue that, of course, I'm going to get more curated, so to speak. I'm going to get more polished. But I could sit here and obsess over trying to make something perfect, or I could just show up, kick it with you guys, and chat, like how it used to feel. But there's something different now. I truly feel authentically myself. I have nothing to hide. So on that note, let's address a few things that caught my interest over the year of 2025. And then I'll give you a little insight into what to expect from the In-Between podcast over the next couple of weeks, months or so. And just remind you that I'm really happy you're here. I promise I'm not going to abandon you again. And I mean it this time. I know I might come off a little bit as an unreliable narrator, given how I was like, I'm going to be back, and then I disappear. Then I come back and I disappear. But I'm really here now. All right? So I already said I'm not going to get into the politics of 2025. We all know where I stand on that. It has absolutely sucked. And for the sake of my mental health, I had to stick my head in the dirt. It wasn't that I wasn't informed, but I also could not handle the amount of content around the disaster that is politics in America especially, let alone on a global scale. Knowledge is power. I agree. But also, it is a lot and it's overwhelming. Like I said, I don't want to get into it. I just felt like it would be disingenuous not to at least address the dumpster fire that is American politics at the moment. So this is me acknowledging that, and now we're going to move on. All right? Because this is a happy podcast. And as I've mentioned, there's just so much shit out there. We are going to take this time to enjoy ourselves, be at peace, be entertained, be empowered. Words I've used multiple times already. I feel like I'm on repeat. Maybe I am in a robot state. Just kidding. But this is a safe space. This is where we can just let loose, talk about life, and not worry about what's going on the outside. Because Lord knows we're going to be flushed with information about it. A couple things that I would love to call out in terms of pop culture that really resonated with me last year. One, K-pop Demon Hunters. I know what you're thinking. What the heck is K-pop Demon Hunters if you've been living under a rock and you haven't heard of it? I remember when my friend Lisa first texted me and our friend Rachel, and she was like, have you guys watched K-pop Demon Hunters? And I'm like, what is that? That sounds like an anime show. Lisa is also a mother to two small children, so I'm thinking this must be some kind of kid thing. And I'm like, Lisa, no, I have not watched K-pop Demon Hunters. That sounds ridiculous. I have other things to do. She was like, no, you have to watch this movie. Not only is the music so catchy, but the messaging, oh my gosh, I'm in my feels. So we had a full girls' night revolving around K-pop Demon Hunters. Well, let me tell you, that movie not just slapped. The music was incredible. I work out to it all the time. But the storyline, oh my God, it was so good. It was so healing. It's all about your wearing your scars proudly, loving every piece of you, even the dark parts of you. There's like this whole song at the end that's like super epic, of course, and it's about like the lies we tell ourselves are that, they're lies. Oh my gosh, it was so deep. And I'm like, this damn cartoon has got me crying on top of all the girl power themes in it. Oh my gosh. So I highly recommend, if you have not seen K-pop Demon Hunters, it is worth your while. It may have the most ridiculous name, but it is absolutely a slam dunk. It's a banger. It's incredible. Highly recommend. I spent Tuesdays watching Dancing with the Stars with my mother and my grandmother, because my mom and Nana live together. Because my Nana, her health isn't doing too hot, so my mom makes sure she's good and takes care of her, along with my aunt. But Tuesdays were Dancing with the Stars. So obsessed. Definitely still a goal of mine to be on there one day eventually. Like, can you not envision it? Elizabeth Cheney, podcaster. Obviously, I'd have to be humongo to be on Dancing with the Stars as a podcaster, but you never know. You never know. Plus, this year, I'm going to get into public speaking. I'm going to do all the things that I said I was going to do last year, and then life was like, actually, we have other plans for you. You need some lessons. You need some things to learn. I'm not going to digress down that path because I had just rambled about that for however many minutes before this. Anyways, Dancing with the Stars was amazing. I got into basketball. I know. Big surprise there. Big surprise there. I'm a theater kid, okay? Was never a sports person. When someone asked me, what sports did you play growing up? I'm like, I didn't. I box stepped. I jazz fingered or jazz hand. I don't know. That sounded very, very weird. But you know what I mean. I performed. That's what I did, okay? I didn't play sports other than like this 2-week basketball camp my mom forced me to go to when I was 13, and it was miserable. I jammed every single finger. They had to tape my fingers. Oh my God, it was so embarrassing. I had like crab claws. I kid you not. Oh God, I'm getting like triggers thinking about just how awkward and embarrassing that was. I got most improved player at the end of the camp because I was tall and I could block really well, but trust me, there was no baskets being made and there was no dribbling really to happen. I just was like, get out of the way. I got crab claws for hands. But all jokes aside, somehow my super sports loving mother convinced me to be a Hawks fan. Hawks are Atlanta's professional basketball team, but really it actually started with the Atlanta Dream, which is Atlanta's WNBA team, which is the women's team, because they were really crushing it and, women power, love that. And she was like, we should go to a Dream game. And I'm like, fine, for you, Cindy, I'll go. Let's do this. Had a blast. The energy was so great. Also, the Atlanta Dream is amazing, okay? I was loving it. It was so much fun. That progressed into being a Hawks fan. My mom got season tickets. She's like, hey, do you want to go? I'll get you this sick jersey so you can match everybody. I know, I'm like a poser. I'm like, yeah, I like basketball. Literally, this is the first game I've ever watched in my entire life. However, little did I know I was going to become a fan. I was screaming, I was hooting, I was hollering. I knew what was happening. I have favorite players. I know their names. Working on understanding stats. Just kidding. I mean, you kind of naturally, as you watch a sport, I think you just start to pick up on things. Don't worry, I'm not like Wikipediaing stats for players. However, I would consider myself a little Hawks fan. And when I thought I was becoming a Braves fan, really that was just more of a bandwagon thing when they were winning the World Series in 2021, which that was still really cool, and I enjoyed that. But after sitting through many Braves games over the past couple of years and having now sat through, I don't even know, like 4 or 5 Hawks games at this point, 3 or 4 Dream games, basketball is so much more fun to watch. But keep in mind, I will never be a football fan. I am confident in that. That shit is boring. I don't understand why it's so popular. I don't know, but I'm not going to be a football fan. I'm sure you didn't expect for the in-between to become a sports podcast. I'm really not. I'm talking about new me, how I've evolved, how I've grown. Well, guess what? Now I like sports. Oh, so there's that. Cool times. Fun times. We love that for us. The final season of Stranger Things aired this year. Actually, it just finished airing. I will not give any spoilers. The one point I want to make is there's been a lot of discord on the internet about, the season sucked. I loved it. I loved it. I boo-hooed like a absolute baby at the end. Holy moly. It was so emotional. I think there were a lot of things coming up for myself personally from the year where I was 10 years ago when the show first aired, all the journey and adventures I'd been on myself this past year. Let's just say I was crying more than just what was happening on the show. But the point I'm trying to make is all the people coming after the show eat dirt. It was so good in my opinion. Sure, there was some pacing issues, but overall, I thought it was a beautiful closure to the story, and it closed everyone's story up with a nice little bow, and I freaking loved it. Okay? Am I bummed it's over? Yeah, but also, it was a great send-off. I feel like I got everything that I needed. So, I love Stranger Things. Definitely not a hater, and y'all just need to chill the hell out. And then the last bit of pop culture that I want to bring up is Heated Rivalry. If you're not sure what Heated Rivalry is, let me just give you a hint. It is about a gay romance between professional hockey players. I'm going to go ahead and put this out there. Do not watch this with young children. It is not safe for work. I repeat, not safe for work. To be honest, I would probably categorize it as soft porn. The first 2 episodes, I was like, oh my God, the writing was a little cheesy for my take. But then by episode 3, oh my gosh, the plot started plotting and it got so good, so deep, so beautiful. I was crying at the end. There's been a lot of discussion about why do so many straight women love this show so much. And to be honest, it's because it's just this beautiful love story of acceptance and being yourself and being genuine. Like the season finale doesn't have some crazy big plot twist, doesn't have some big reveal moment necessarily, other than, well, I guess spoiler alert, the one guy kind of coming out to his parents. And I say kind of, I mean full launch, full send coming out to his parents. They kind of catch him with his lover. But there was no dramatic showing. It was just these 2 people who fell in love and getting to exist without games, without bullshit, just being themselves, vulnerable, authentic. And I think now that I'm kind of going down this route, I realize I probably should have better prepared this, but it's no surprise that modern dating sucks a lot. You see the articles, having a boyfriend's not cool anymore. Emotionally available people, no one wants to be really themselves. Everyone's just hiding behind their phone or this or that. Dating apps make things more accessible, so you're always looking out for what could be better. I mean, I've read it all, I've seen it all, whatever. In the midst of all of that, on top of, the world being on fire, to see this beautiful raw story between 2 people that were hiding their love and not just accepted for each other, but from their family, and to be chosen. It was just so beautiful. It was so full. It was so emotionally stable, for lack of better words. So I feel like the reason why so many straight women were like, oh my God, Heated Rivalry, is because we are looking for that ourselves. I know this is more than just straight women. I think anybody searching for love, anybody wanting companionship, partnership, trying to find their person, like that's what you're looking for. To be chosen, to be seen, to be accepted for everything that you are. I mean, shit, if I had $1 for every time I was told and or was made to feel that I was too much, I would be rich as hell right now. And now that I'm saying all this, it's a perfect way to come back full circle and talk about self-worth and how that was ultimately the big journey that I was on last year, was the pursuit of self-worth. How does that fall in line with self-love? How do I navigate this? How do I define this? What are boundaries? Lots of healing, lots of shedding. Year of the snake. So if you're into very sexualized shows, but a damn good plot and storyline, highly recommend Heated Rivalry. If you were one of the many people who thought Stranger Things sucked, don't at me. I don't care. But if you loved it, would love to talk your head off, because I've got lots of thoughts and feelings on it. So there's a few highlights from the year. To wrap all of this up, let's look ahead. What's the in-between got brewing? 1, no pressure. I am coming into this. I'm getting reacclimated. I'm getting back in the routine of this, that consistency that I talked about earlier. But like I said, I'm not abandoning you, and I will not abandon you, I promise. You are going to have consistent episodes moving forward. I have all the guests that I recorded last year, some great content coming at you, which I'm going to slowly start to release over the next couple of weeks to a month or so. And then we're going to talk about things like self-worth, navigating that fine line between boundaries and what you deserve, and also meeting people, compromising, There may be some elements of like romance, you know what I mean? Like dating, modern dating, all of that. But I am going to try to not make it broad because we got to have topics and I got to talk about what I'm experiencing. The authenticity of life, right? Self-love, self-worth, who we are, what we deserve, pursuing your dreams, doing the damn thing, putting yourself out there. I mean, to be honest, I feel slightly cringe. I may have already mentioned that, but of course, I've already blacked out the first half of this recording because, like, holy moly, I'm doing the damn thing. It's been a minute, but continue to put yourself out there. Believe in your shit. Your shit's cool. Your dream, your art, your pursuit, your idea, your product, whatever it is that you are sitting on, or maybe you aren't even sitting on, maybe you've already kind of put something out there. It's worth it. It's needed. It's cool. I don't care if there's 20 other podcasts about self-love. They're not me. In the same vein, there's only one you in whatever it is you're pursuing. And you don't even have to necessarily have it like a side hustle or like an entrepreneurial thing. It could be you pursuing a family. It could be you pursuing a promotion. It could be you pursuing, I don't know, a new complicated recipe that you're trying to impress your in-laws with. I have no idea. Don't forget, there's one you. And that makes whatever it is you're doing special and important and necessary. We need it. I don't even have to know you to know that we need it. All right? So thank you for welcoming, oh my God, I cannot say that word, welcoming me back. Wow, say that 5 times fast. Welcoming me back. Welcoming me back. I don't even think I can say that. Wow, that's a lot of syllables. Thank you for welcoming me back. We'll get it out eventually. Oh my goodness. I'm so happy to be here. I enjoy being cringe. I enjoy putting myself out there. I enjoy the imposter syndrome that comes with it. I enjoy feeling like I'm going to throw up. Just kidding. No one enjoys that. But I enjoy this. This is just the beginning. But she's back. But on that note, I think it's time for me to go. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I hope you recognize that this is going to be our year, babes. Like, this is going to be a great year. And I know I always say time is a man-made concept. It's not real. You make up your own time. I also kind of feel like the new year really starts in March because everything's dead right now. So March is when springtime starts to roll around and things start to be reborn. But whatever, new year, new me, new you. Even if it's like you didn't have any crazy life change, chances are you still went through some stuff and you're here standing. And that is freaking awesome. I love that. So what's the spiel at the end? If you're not doing so already, you can follow me on Instagram at Elizabeth Cheney _, which is my personal. So that's where all my life updates, day to day, things going on, me just venting, riffing, whatever the heck, being awkward, silly, weird. You'll find that there. And then the podcast Instagram is in.betweenpod. You can follow me on TikTok at the In Between Podcast and YouTube at the In Between Podcast, where you can watch this video and make your own judgment on how awkward I look and seem, because it's been a minute since I was on this thing. Oh, I digress. But if you did enjoy this episode, please share this with a friend, share it with your neighbor, share it with your coworker, share it with your family member. Heck, if you really feel entitled, I would love a review. You can do that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. And just remember, you're worth it. All right? All right, I'm going to go. I feel like I'm getting kind of silly. Also, I'm ravenously hungry. So I'm going to jet. But I will see you not next week because this episode comes out on a Friday. And this is like the big return. So the week after next, I'll be back with an all-new episode and a special guest. Until then, I'm your host, Elizabeth Cheney. Talk to you soon. Bye.